Alright, hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my 2023 TBR for you guys. I know I say the same thing every single time I make a TBR video, and that's that I know I'm not very good at TBRs, but I like to make them to kind of give myself an outline, maybe give you guys an idea of what I'm going to pick up during the year or stuff that you could pick up during the year. So if I don't read any of these by the end of the year, that's okay. Or at least I'll keep telling myself that, and I'm gonna make this video anyway. So I do kind of have three separate categories that these are split into. So I have new releases, book series that I want to start or continue, and then I also have a couple of standalones that we're gonna talk about. So I think I'm gonna start with the two series that I plan on continuing this year, then we'll talk about the rest of my series, then we'll do standalones, then we'll do new releases. So there we go. First of all, the two series that I want to continue. This one will be very easy though, because it is a manga series, and that is Spy Family. So I read the first 4 volumes of this back in August. Loved them so much. I had such a good time reading them. So obviously I need to read volumes 5 through 8 this year. I don't know when the 9th volume comes out, / if it even comes out this year, not sure. However, I do just kind of want to read all of the volumes that will be out in 2023 this year, shall we say. Obviously, everybody loves Spy Family. It's super fun. It's about a spy who kind of has to put together this fake family. So he has a fake daughter, a fake wife. It's all for his mission. It's really cute. Recently, I have borrowed volume 5 from the library, and obviously I would like to borrow volumes 6 through 8 and read those very soon as well. So there we go. Then the other series that I want to continue is the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. I will not talk about how I want to continue this series any longer because I feel like I've been talking about it nonstop recently. So just know that I want to read Oathbringer in 2023. I have a really good feeling that this will actually happen. Knock on wood. And now we're going to talk about 4 series that I want to start this year. So one of these is actually a carryover from last year, and I told myself I was not going to put any books that I put on my 2022 TBR and didn't read. However, I made an exception for this one, and that is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I've been talking for like 2 years about how I want to read this book, and I literally never have. I've put it on countless TBRs, and I've never picked it up. Not once. But one of my goals for this year is to read more adult high fantasy, and obviously we love a woman writing adult high fantasy, so I really want to try the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. I've also heard really good things about, I don't know what that series is called. It's like the Ship of Magic. The one with the ships. There's like live ship traders. I think that's what it's called. I've heard really good things about that series, but I do believe I have to read this series first. So I do believe this follows our main character Fitz, who is an illegitimate child to the king. So they don't want him in court, but they don't want him to go away and then like one day come back and lay claim to the throne. So Fitz is going through it. He hasn't had a great life, and I mean, it just sounds really interesting. I'm excited, hopefully, to read this book this year. Next up, I really want to read the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series by Laini Taylor. I can't lie, the back of this book really tells me absolutely nothing about what this series is about, but I'm kind of okay with that because I went into Strange the Dreamer, also by Laini Taylor, not really having a good idea as to what it was about, and I loved it. So hopefully the same thing will happen with this series. I would like to try and read the entirety of this series in 2023. Again, rather ambitious. However, I'm gonna try. The next series that I want to read, which I really do feel like I will be able to read in 2023, is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Obviously, I have heard literally so many things about this series. It's a big thing on TikTok. I know a lot of people really enjoy it. They think it's really fun. I have not read like too many YA like mystery novels. The only ones I've really read are The Inheritance Games and Truly Devious. Admittedly, I don't really love either of those series. However, I'm always down to give another one a try. All I know is our main character is kind of just trying to solve a murder that happened in their town a few years prior, and that's all I got. But it sounds fun. And then the last series that I am very excited about starting in 2023 is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book, The Final Empire, but again, I would like to read all 3 books in the series in 2023. Again, I'm like not that great at continuing / completing series, but I have high hopes. Like, I don't think Brandon Sanderson will lead me astray, you know? Like, I have a good feeling that I'm going to like Mistborn. I know the general premise of the plot is kind of what if the bad guy won. So obviously in most fantasy series, the good guy always wins, but not so much in this series. Aside from that, I'm really not sure as to what this book is about. I know the magic system sounds really interesting. I think they kind of get it by ingesting metals of some sort, which I've never heard of anything remotely like that, so I'm definitely ready to jump into something with a super unique magic system. And I think it sounds really fun. And I've heard so many good things about this book as well. Along with this series, I do want to read a couple of other books that are set in the Cosmere, mainly Warbreaker. That one sounds really fun, although I might also try and read Elantris. Next up, we're going to talk about a couple of standalones. I don't really read a ton of standalones, so there's not too many in this section. However, I am excited about all of these. So, first of all, we have Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. I know there's like a companion novel to this book called Vicious Spirits, I think, but I do believe it follows like different characters, so I am personally going to be considering this one a standalone for the purpose of the organization of this video. So, I actually read like the first 60 pages or so of this back in June, and I was really enjoying it, but I set it down, I think because I started reading the Shatter Me series, and I never picked this book up again. However, I was really enjoying it, and recently I acquired like a physical copy of it because I do really like the cover of this book, and I'm going to read it in 2023. The premise of this one also sounds really interesting. I do believe it is inspired by Korean folklore because you're kind of following this girl who is a gumiho, who I think is like a nine-tailed fox, and she has to, I believe, like consume the lives of men or something to that effect, and I was like, that sounds like something I want to read. So really hoping, again, that I will read this year. Next up, I have a book that I have been wanting to read for the longest time, and I'm so happy that I finally have a copy of it, and that is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. Obviously, you know what? I was gonna say, obviously we need to have some vampire books on the TBR, but this is the only one. I don't know what that's about, but I will be getting back into my vampire era. Do not fret, I will be reading a bunch of vampire books this year. I just don't know what those are gonna be yet. I do believe this kind of follows one of Dracula's brides, and I know it's not a good time for her. I think there's a lot of kind of more heavy material in this book, but I'm still excited to read it nonetheless. I've heard the writing is beautiful, and I'm so excited to finally get to this. And then the last standalone that I'm going to be talking about is A Wilderness of Stars by Shay Earnshaw. The concept of this one, as well as what really drew me in, it follows our main character Vega, who is known as the last astronomer, meaning that she is the last person on Earth, essentially, who has all the knowledge about the moon and the stars and all that kind of stuff. I used to be obsessed with astronomy. I'm definitely still very interested in it, but I don't have enough time to nurture that interest right now. But I think it sounds really fun. I definitely love Shay Earnshaw's writing, and I can't wait to dive into this one as well. And then finally, I do have a classic on this list of standalones. I did have a couple of other classics, but I think I left them at school, so this is the only one I have with me, but I do still want to read this, and that is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I know you're following our main character Jane, and you kind of see her as she grows up, but I feel like that kind of is the plot of the book. You know, there are a couple of other things that I do know about this book, but I kind of think they're spoilers. I don't really know what classifies as a spoiler for a classic, but I won't say anything. So I just have really been wanting to pick up something by the Brontes, and it's either going to be this one or Wuthering Heights that I'm going to pick up first. I think Wuthering Heights might be shorter, so maybe it'll be that one. At any rate, I just want to read some book by any Bronte this year. And now I'm gonna move over here so we can talk about the new releases that I'm gonna be reading this year. The first one that I'm gonna talk about is actually kind of a cop-out because I've already read this book and I really liked it, but to be fair, in my defense, I wrote this TBR list before I read this book. So I'm just gonna keep it in here so we can start out strong and already have one of the books read, and that is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. If you guys don't know, this is the first book in a new duology set in the world that the Folk of the Air trilogy is set. Love that series so much. So when I heard that Holly Black had a new book coming out in this world, I was like, oh wow. So this primarily follows our main character Surin, who she's been going through it her whole life, let me tell you, and she's kind of living on the streets right now. It's not a good time for her. Until Jude's little brother Oak, who is not so little in this book anymore, he's like 17, but he comes to her and he requests that she go with him on this mission to do something. I won't tell you what that mission is, but I loved this book a lot. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it because for the most part, I feel like spin-off series aren't my favorites, but it was a lot. It was so good. Big fan. Anyway, moving on from that one though because I have already read it. Next up I have The Mysteries of Thorn Manor by Margaret Rogerson. This is, I think, it's either a short story collection or a novella, but it's set in the same like world that Sorcery of Thorns is set. And I enjoyed Sorcery of Thorns so much. I really loved all three of kind of the main characters, and that book was just really fun. So when I saw that Margaret Rogerson had a little whatever this is coming out, I was very excited about it. I do believe this comes out on January 17th, so for me that's in like, wow, 3 days. Very excited. We'll be picking it up day of. You will see it in a reading vlog very soon. And then I think maybe my most exciting book ever, really. Like, this is one of my most anticipated releases ever. And that is Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. It comes out January 31st. I've been waiting. Oh, I've been waiting. I read the first 2 books in the last hours back in summer of 2021. And I've been patiently waiting for this book to come out. And I'm so freaking excited about it. I've already started my reread of Chain of Gold. I'm gonna read Chain of Iron soon. And I'm just remembering how much I love this world and these characters. So I'm just like so unbelievably jazzed that the 3rd book is coming out. Also, the cover is stunning. I mean, look at it. It's just, it's gonna be such a good time. Literally, like, my year's already made. Instant 5-star. I already know. Like, there's no way it won't be, you know? The next book I want to talk about is Gold by Raven Kennedy. I don't even know if this one has a cover yet, to be honest. Maybe it does. I don't know what's right next to me right now. But this is the 5th book in the Plated Prisoners series, which is a fantasy romance series, which I've really been enjoying recently. I believe this book comes out in June, maybe? So, incredibly excited about this one. Also a little nervous, though, because I loved the 3rd book in this series, but the 4th book didn't wow me. So I'm really hoping that it really comes back in this last book, and I'm just like absolutely obsessed with it again. At any rate, I'm really excited to read it anyway, so can't wait for summer so I can read that one. And then the last book that I'm going to be talking about today also doesn't have a cover yet, so I'm just gonna move over here because there's nothing to show. But that is A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. This is the 3rd book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, which is the spin-off series to Caraval. And the ending of book 2 just wasn't fair. Like, why would she do that to me? Why would she do that to us? I'm still not over it. But this book comes out not January, September 12th, I think. So 9 more months. Not soon enough. However, I am so incredibly excited for it. I will be screaming and crying and throwing up by the time this book comes out. So those are all of the books that I have on my 2023 TBR. Is it a wee bit ambitious? Yes, maybe. But it's okay, because if I don't get to them, we're not going to beat ourselves up. We're just going to have a good time. It's going to be a good reading year. I can just feel it. Hopefully I can get to like half of them maybe. Anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please do let me know down below any books that are on your 2023 TBR, or if any of these books are also on your TBR, let me know. I would love to know if we're going to be reading some of the same books this year. I think that'll be really fun. Yeah, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.